step out of my house to be greeted by the same sight every day. A bright searing afternoon, roasting everything in view. It was the middle of the summer indeed. The concrete road glistened from the heat. Across the street were a couple of lots where houses have been torn down long ago. Among the ruins stood a single coconut tree. These things grow tall. It towered the landscape and was the only one within our block. If you live around here, you won't miss it. It's been there ever since I could remember. There was a time when its branches were all green with life and filled with fresh coconuts. Now it's just a dilapidated relic of the good old days. All dried up and no more than a few branches remain, with wilted leaves that hang on aimlessly. Still, it stood there. I flipped my hood up to hide from the sun and went on my way. It's poetic, really. How every day I go outside and that tree reminds me of my boring, dried-up routine. My work, a standard 8 hours, pays outstandingly well but extremely boring. See, I'm stuck in a cubicle where if I'm not rearranging server data or debugging small pieces of code, I get to have exciting adventures and customer support. Spending hours explaining to baby boomers how to unminimize their spreadsheet documents. Yeah, that's my career. Every day I go home wishing that something else came along. Something to break this excruciating monotony. The trips home ain't so grand either. My shift saves me from the rush hours, yeah, but grabbing a ride late at night in the city is a nightmare. I wait 30 minutes for the bus to leave, add that to the 1-hour ride home, an hour sitting with fellow zombies who just wanna go home and sleep. If there's anything I like about this routine, it's the night walks. After stepping off the bus, I take the time to have a stroll. I just love the atmosphere, the serene silence, the right amount of lights from a few lit houses and lampposts, and not to mention the cold that opposites the harsh temperature of the day. This night was particularly moonless, with a few clouds obscuring the already faint stars. I was nearing my house when I decided to walk slower. I wanted to enjoy the cool air a bit more. As I took a deep breath, my eyes pointed to a familiar sight down the road. Now standing before me was an eerie silhouette of none other than the coconut tree. The darkness turned it into something ominous. I saw none of its aged bark, just the shape of a black tower with a crooked spire. As the icy draft around me seemed to increase, I gazed upon it. There was something odd about the tree, and it wasn't just its shadowy form. I realized the branches looked like it had more leaves now. Actually, it seemed as if it grew a few more branches. The more I focused on it, the more undeniable that something had changed. I knew my eyes weren't fooling me because one of the branches was even swaying with the wind. I froze. There was a pounding in my chest when I realized there was no wind at all. My eyes widened as the same branch moved upward to a wider angle, and then another branch followed, turning upward as well. Both swayed up and down as if taunting me in my confusion. It should have been obvious they weren't branches, but they stopped. I let out a gasp when in one swift motion both of them beat downward. They were launched into the air, revealing themselves as wings. Wings of a horribly large creature that was perching atop the tree. It hovered above me. 2 small spots on its head glistened in the night. I can feel its dreadful gaze on me. Before I can move a muscle, it lets out an ear-piercing shriek. My head was filled with sharp pain. I pushed my palms on my ears to block the sound. The shrieking stopped, so I looked back up, only to see the thing swooping towards me. I snapped into a state of flight. In the panic, I ran back the way I came from, away from my house. Like a lunatic, I filled the empty streets with my screams. After a couple of blocks, I checked to see if it was still on my tail. Stopping to search the skies, the thing was nowhere in sight. Without warning, there was a loud slam behind me. There we finally met. It was horrendous. Its face cracked open to reveal 6 eyes and a drooping saggy flesh where a mouth should be. Its wings were so wide it almost enclosed the entire street. Massive was its legs. It slowly raised one of them over my head. My spine stiffened in fear. I wouldn't have moved if it wasn't for the stench that broke my trance. Its flapping wings blew gusts of rotten smell. The smell of death. With that, I instinctively leapt out of the way as its talons smashed the ground right at the last second. I crashed my chest on the pavement. As I pushed myself to get up, I noticed a van parked in front of the house where I fell. There wasn't a second thought. I got up and slinked beside it, inching my body through the space between the van and the house, hoping to lose the huge beast in a narrow gap, and it worked. The monster's hulking frame was stopped by the heavy van. I ran once again, this time aiming to get inside my house and lock myself the hell in. I looked behind me, hoping to see the monster still stuck. Instead, I saw it launch to the sky again. I despaired over the futility of outrunning it. The burn in my lungs was unbearable, but I was close. My house's gate was beckoning in my view. Despite being far away, I stretched my hand in desperation. Something shook my back and my legs no longer felt the pavement. I was too freaked out to realize the sound of flapping wings were already upon me, and I was hoisted up like a mere toy. My body flails wildly in an attempt to reconnect with the gray street that was now moving slowly away from me. In my crazed fit, I felt my bag strap pull loose. Looking over the bottom of the strap, I saw it was ripped from the seams. The idea hit me instantly. It needed only a strong tug. The ripping was music to my ears. I fell flat on the unforgiving cement. My arms and face took the brunt of the impact, but I didn't care. I looked up. The monster struggled with the bag trapped in its clutches. Seemingly confused, it whirled around atop me. This gave me the moment to sprint away. Clumsily, I slammed to the steel gate and reached for the door latch on the other side. It had a padlock hanging over it which I knew wasn't closed, but had to be taken off before I can open the damn latch. It felt like an eternity trying to pry it off. The sound of fluttering wings stopped. I was able to open the gate, not knowing how I managed to close it after falling inside. My parents found me the next morning, just lying there unconscious. My backpack was found outside, ripped to pieces with its contents scattered about. I was heavily questioned after waking up hours later, and I told them I was mugged right outside our house. Of course, I couldn't tell them what really happened, knowing they wouldn't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either. Some days I even just think of it as a bad dream. Some days, though, I ponder at what I went through. The day that I got what I wanted. An exciting break from the monotony, and a glimpse of the unbelievable, sinister things that lurk in the night. A day after the incident, I took an axe that my dad kept in our garage, and then I walked straight to that tree.